The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of Bronxnet or the program underwriters.
Good evening, welcome to the Bronx Buzz. This is Bronxnet's program where we talk to journalists and writers and sometimes photographers and sometimes videographers. Tonight is photography night and videography night because we have two great photographers and one of whom also does videography. You're going to see some of their work and really get an appreciation for the great minds that visualize the Bronx in ways that we never even thought of. And so welcome to my good friend and longtime colleague, Adiana Rivera. Nice to have you with us.
Love to be here.
So I have seen your work. You know I love your work. Tell me a little bit about your background, about how you got into actually shooting not only photographs, but videos as well.
So I went to school for production. And
where was it? You, of course, need to
I went to
that.
SUNY New Paltz for production,
Okay.
and I thought I solely wanted to focus on video editing and being like as behind the scenes as possible. I didn't even want to be on set. But then I went to the Bronx Blogger Social, and I met Life of...
Oh, and you met me there.
Yes, that's where we met.
That was where we met.
That's when everything started for me.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
wow, I didn't
it was
even
good.
realize that that's where we were. That's right. That's
Yeah.
where we met the first time. Now, this was a couple of years ago.
Only a year and a month ago because it was in March. Yeah.
Wow. And I introduced her like we've known each other all these times.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was only a year ago.
Yeah, but we worked together so much.
Yes.
Like,
But so you went to the social because of your interest in new media and all that kind of stuff. Just tell me about that.
so I in general just love like photography and videography. I just feel like it's super powerful. And then I love the Bronx because I was born and raised here and like literally grew up on Kingsbridge, same apartment with my mom, dad, two siblings. And so when I saw the Bronx Blogger Social, it's like I love the Bronx, I love social media, and it just came together. And it was like a meant to be thing.
Wow, I'm sorry, folks, because I'm reacting viscerally to this and you know emotionally to this. That's right. I did meet Adiana. We did a significant amount of work together, and so you had not really thought of doing this kind of thing.
No.
But it lit the fire.
Yeah, because I
What a
was
great
there.
story.
I was there just for like video editing, but when I met Life of Javi, and he runs a coffee company called Express a State of Mind, he knew I had a camera, and they do latte art throwdowns, and he was like, "You have to bring your camera." And I was terrified, but then it changed everything. It really brought me out.
What a wonderful, Adiana, thank you for giving it. I love that story. And so then we did a bunch of work together, but now it kind of led up to this show that you just had at the Boogie Down Grind Cafe in Hunts Point.
Yes.
So tell me about what that was and what you did for that show.
So it was called I Am Every Woman, and it was a solo exhibit. So I was representing Bronx women, and it was just pretty much like it was my photography, and then I created a video called I Am Every Woman, where I think it was about 5 to 7 women. I had them write I am statements to just like describe who they are, and I put it all together, and I had B-roll footage.
Right. So we're going to look at that, and what I want you to see, but you're going to wait a minute because I'm going to ask a couple more questions. What I want you to see when you look at it is that not only did she understand a concept, but she put it together in ways that are inventive. In terms of coming up with those kinds of wrinkles that I know you can't help yourself. You have to put them in there. Explain to me the process, like what goes through your head, or how do you approach it?
Oh, it's kind of hard, like because it is almost
asking an artist question. What is their muse? What inspires them is the toughest question I can ask. If you get past this, the sky's the limit.
Yeah. It's just kind of it's so natural, so it's hard to force it, but you kind of just like sit there and think, and you have to in a way think on it and then pull yourself back. So like Jarlene, she's the one that was like, I have an idea, I want you to do a video. She didn't give me any guidelines, but the whole thing was I am every woman. So I just sat there with the sentence and just like, how would I describe being every woman? So I just thought like, other women have to describe it. I can't do this on my own.
What is compelling for me and for the people who will be watching about what we're about to see is every woman, but it's Bronx women.
Yes.
And that's who you talk to. So the last question before we show the video, what is it about the Bronx that inspires you so? Because part of the Bronx Blogger Social and everything was defining us in a certain way. So what about it inspires you?
I think the Bronx is one of the most creative boroughs out there. Like if you walk around, one second you're walking through the street and there's people playing music. The next second you see someone doing graffiti. The next second someone's cooking on the sidewalk. And it's just, there's fun, there's culture, and just like every day I'm inspired.
And the thing that to me really puts it together is a lot of the considerations that other people have, like ethnicity, sexual orientation, even economics, because we have the strata in the Bronx is like this, is out the window when we're talking about those things in the Bronx. That's among the things that inspires me, right?
Yeah, no.
So you focus on that. All right. I am woman. I am every woman.
Yes, I am every
Ladies and
woman.
gentlemen, first time on TV?
Yes.
Right, it's been shown, people have seen it, but this is I Am Every Woman by Adiana Rivera on the Bronx Buzz and Bronxnet.
I am. I'm a product of my hood and daughter of my ancestors.
I am underestimated. I am a survivor.
Yo soy dominicana.
I am only just beginning. I am enough. I am enough.
I am a woman of many moons.
I'm an artist.
I am creative.
I am worth it. I am the warrior my children needed.
I am nurturing. I am destined to create change and uplift my people.
I am smart. I am art. I am the owner and creator of Sweet Solstice Shop.
I am passionate.
I am loved.
I am resilient.
I am the symbol of love. I am chosen.
I am full of wonder. I am strength in the midst of adversity.
And I am every woman. I am every woman.
I am every woman. I am every woman. I am every woman. I am every woman.
I am every woman.
I am every woman.
I am every woman.
All right, there it is. Congratulations. She is every woman.
Thank you.
What did you like about when you put it together? Because I know you're really very proud of that work. What is it for you? I know what comes through to me. It really defines so much about the Bronx. But what do you see when you see that video?
I think I get excited because I see so many different women who are walking through life differently, but still so strongly. Like there's a woman there who's, we have a singer, we have a painter, we have 2 business owners there, we have a mom and a daughter, and there's just so much, like, all these women are coming together.
Absolutely.
And it's just, these are Bronx women. Yeah.
That's what it is. Listen, so you're also a photographer. Do you have a preference, one or the other, photography or videography? Or you?
I keep going back and forth. I can't decide.
Doesn't matter. She just can't stop. I can't stop myself. So let's show some photos. We have photos that I want to show. I guess we're going to see them here eventually, or they're up there. You can see. This is, here it is right here. This is just, look at that. On one side, of course, is the stereo, and the other side, what compels you about this? This is a Bronx photo, if there ever was.
Yeah, this is actually one of the people who was in Bronx Boys. So I interviewed 4 Bronx males who grew up in the Bronx, and they each had a passion, but their childhood was spent in the Bronx, and they're still currently in the Bronx. So this is the florist, and I don't know, I think it just captures him as a person, you know, like he's surrounded by nature, but then he still has these material
Well,
possessions.
that's exactly,
like,
you get the whole spectrum of life. Beautifully done. Did you know you were getting that photo when you shot it, or you were so happy later?
No,
Yeah,
we
that's how
actually
it
were
always
doing,
is.
yeah, we were doing the interview, and then I was just like kind of playing around.
It's absolutely gorgeous. All right, keep going. Unfortunately, this show will end because then look at this. Now, this is where?
This was actually in Fordham. It was the Fordham Fair happening, which was like just free for the people, which I thought was amazing.
The Renaissance Festival?
It was just called the Fordham Fair.
Fordham Fair, okay.
Yeah, and it was amazing because I never heard of it. So like there was moms and dads, fathers and daughters walking around with balloons, cotton candy, and I just love the way he's holding her and they're walking through the street together.
Well, and also, of course, the yellow and the red.
Yes.
Now, did you funky up the colors at all, or?
A little bit, but honestly, it was just so natural.
Yeah, and there's a high sun. You can see the
Yeah.
short shadows. Wow, great. Keep going.
So this is Anthony Anderson, and this was actually not taken in the Bronx, but he is a drummer who grew up in the Bronx, and this was taken at a coffee throwdown, and a lot of Bronx people came together to like host the event. So I was doing photos, there was someone else doing video, and he was drumming and performing.
You shot at natural light without the flash, just
Yes.
to let it tell its own story.
Yes, so there's no flash.
So
There's just,
green in the middle, and then you got the purple. Just
the lighting was amazing there.
well, the photographer is amazing. All right, go ahead. I mean, you know, lighting is nice, but all right, here we are working on the railroad outside the stadium.
Yeah, this is right by 161. I was
Wow.
actually doing headshots for the young girl in I Am Every Woman that you see there.
Right.
And so when I was walking around, I saw this and I was like, this is just every New York scene that everyone sees and knows and almost kind of hates. 'Cause-
Yeah, but you know what's amazing about it? These guys are working and dealing with it, and the train is happening, and of course you're next to one of the most iconic places in America.
Yeah. So it's a strong scene.
How long did you have to stand there to get the train to go? Like you said, you know a train is coming.
Yeah,
I mean, the MTA, you never know, but
Honestly, I didn't even really plan it. I think I had
you just
10
were there,
minutes.
and here comes the train.
Yeah, I had 10 minutes till
Wow,
my
great.
train came, so I just sat
Addie,
and
these are just beautiful.
waited.
Are there more? Was that it?
I mean,
Was that it, folks?
One
oh,
more.
one more. Oh, look at
yeah.
this.
This is actually by 1612. It was the same day that I took the train photo.
Right.
And I just love Bronx building architect. Ever since I was a
As
kid.
simple as it is, but of course we don't make those kinds of decorations above windows anymore.
Yeah, which is like,
Yeah.
it's so gorgeous, and nowadays it's just kind of glass everywhere.
And who knew that they would be? You would shoot in the same color I was wearing. Who knew? Who knew? Who knew?
Orange is a good color.
All right, listen, Adiana Rivera. How do people find you? Instagram is the best way.
Instagram's the best
Yeah,
way.
she's rocking that IG.
I
I'll
love
tell you
that social media.
So we're looking at Addie Shoots, right?
Yes.
ADISHOOTS. What a delight to have you
Thank
here
you,
with
Gary.
us. And
It's
thank you
great.
for reminding me that was, that was the day for you. Wow.
Yeah.
Just absolute. But it also shows you something about the Bronx. You pursue
The community is there.
an event and something good. Well, and so that's how people, we don't have upcoming shows, but we will eventually.
Yes.
We all want to see more of that.
More to come.
We'll be right back. Another Bronx photographer. Don't go away.
Sure, I look cute now, but when my owner lost his job, it was rough. I was living on the street, and one night, me and this Cocker Spaniel got into it so bad, I wound up looking like an ice cream cone. I cried a little bit, but thankfully I got rescued, so I'm running, I'm jumping, all back to my old self. And I'm ready to give unconditional love, even if you put a lampshade on my head.
It's not always easy being a dad.
Do you have panda asthma too? Does that run in the family? This is the home of the most priceless kung fu artifacts.
But when you make an effort,
Dad, we're not supposed to touch anything. Oh, sorry. Go along, son.
it's always worth it.
Whoa!
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today.
I am gonna get you. I'm gonna get you.
Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov to learn more.
You know what, guys? There's a lot of tree branches and dry brush over here. We should probably move the bonfire over there.
I'm guessing Smokey liked that idea.
Hey, it's Ava, and this is Tess from Vivo's Do It Yourselfie, where we recreate the hottest looks from today's biggest music videos.
After cleaning out our closet, we have a lot of clothes we don't wear anymore.
Like this old t-shirt.
It's not garbage, it's actually a brand new rug.
And to make it, all you need to do is cut, tie, and glue.
Cut the t-shirt into strips.
Tie the strips into knots.
And glue the knots to the bath mat. I love it. Give your garbage another life.
And recycle.
Okay, back with you on the Bronx Buzz. Wasn't that fun? I really enjoyed that, and you're going to really enjoy this. We're going to say, because he's on Skype on the other side of the Bronx, we're here at Bronxnet's Mercy College studios, but all the way on the other side of the Bronx is my longtime friend and neighbor, Ira Merritt. Nice to have you with us, Ira.
Nice to be with you, Gary.
Ira is a photographer of significant note in the Bronx. How many years have you been taking pictures?
Over 40.
Over 40. We won't count together. And what is it that you love and have loved from the beginning of your career as a photographer?
I think because you get to learn about things when you start photographing, and you look at things at different ways and how things connect with each other.
Mm-hmm. Do you, in your mind, say to yourself, oh, I can tell a story effectively through this? Does that enter into it? Or is it really representing, a moment in time or, some other vision?
Usually a story could be told, but sometimes it takes me a little while. It may not happen before I get started. I may have an idea. In fact, with this Nebraska project, I had an idea and it was sort of changed.
I know your work, and many people, of course, know your work for many years, shooting the Bronx and interpreting Bronx scenes and, kind of coming up with interesting visions and shooting in our neighborhood of Van Cortlandt Village. So tell us about this Nebraska problem. When I heard, I said, wait a minute, Ira's going to Nebraska? What's going on here? So tell us what the inspiration was, and then we'll show some of the pictures.
Well, I retired about 5 years ago from teaching photography, and fully retired about 2 years later. I was working part-time for 2 years. And so I had started a project in Van Cortlandt Park, actually, in which I started photographing nature, but putting it together into grids. Like there were a combination of similar images fit together using the format of a grid. So I thought that it might be an interesting thing to try doing in other parts of the country. So I started applying for artist residencies. I figured that would be a good way to actuate this project. And I was accepted into a residence at the Homestead Monuments National Park in Beatrice, Nebraska.
Wow.
So, so that's where it started. And this took place in early May. It was the beginning of May when I got there.
So it's like a year ago now? I mean, that's essentially what we're talking about.
It was 2017, so it's 2 years ago.
2 years ago now, okay.
Yeah.
And when you went out to take photographs, did you, I hate to put it this way, this is a horrible way, did you have anything on your mind? Or did you just go out and say, did you have a story that, you in your mind you wanted to say, well, let's represent this or let's represent this? Or was it one of those where whatever I see, I'm going to try to take good photographs of?
Well, as I mentioned before, the original idea was to take the idea of the grid.
Oh, yes. Okay.
And photograph in that way. And so I would look at things and the way that I do it is that I look for things that are very similar and I photograph it from approximately the same distance with similar backgrounds, so it all fits together.
And when you say a grid, you then basically take them and put them, like we use the Bronx Buzz, and you put them up and, like
Yes,
3
similar
photos
to
here,
that.
3. And
Yeah.
the whole idea was get the impression of the whole grid.
So in other words, you could look at each photograph and it would look like an individual photograph fully, but also would fit into the whole picture
Wow,
of maybe
fascinating.
9, 12, 15 photographs.
Wow.
But
Yeah.
what happened when I got there was that it was early in the year and there was nothing growing and everything around was just, earth, dirt, corn that was laid fallow.
So
And
get to a conclusion because I want to start showing some of the pictures before we run out of time. So you're saying it wasn't kind of as glorious as you might have wanted because they still hadn't grown yet.
And the site itself, I thought that national parks there would be a lot to photograph, but there really wasn't.
It's Nebraska. Come back to Vancouver Park.
I should have known. Right?
Yeah, right. Let's put something up. Let's see one of the pictures by Ira Merritt. So this is 2 years ago in what's the name of the town?
Beatrice.
Beatrice. So now this you had mentioned about corn.
Right.
What is this that we're looking at?
Okay, so when I got there was no corn growing. It was laid back. What happened is they would.
Sorry for laughing.
The stalks were already cut from the season before, and they were left fallow, and it was just the stalks and the husks.
Right. So the corn was not quite as high as an elephant's eye. I get that.
No, it was below their ankles.
The equator. All right. Let's look at another. I just want to move through them so we don't run out of time before we get to see more of them. Folks, put up another one. So this is an interesting photo for a lot of reasons. I mean, number one is there's clearly wind farms, and number two is like the old and the new, right?
Right. That was exactly it. So while I was there, I saw this wind farm in the distance, and
let's put that picture up a little longer, folks. Go ahead, Ira.
Yeah. So I had to drive a little bit of to get to the wind farm, and lo and behold, it had rained before I got there, and I got stuck in the mud.
So that's one of the side notes of the fact that it is a very, very fascinating photograph.
Well, what happened was, so I just got out of the mud, and I didn't make it to the wind farm. So a few days later, I figured out a different route, and I got there late in the day, and so I stopped at some property that was outside of the wind farm, and I started photographing. And apparently the owner of the place that I was standing taking the photographs, he drives in. And
I want you to move it forward before we run out of time before you finish this story.
Okay. So anyhow, he told me about this place where there was an old windmill that was broken, and you could also see the new windmills.
Got it.
And so I drove around till I
so
found.
that's actually a broken windmill.
Yes, it's a broken one.
That's all right. Let's move to the next photo.
Okay.
Let's see which one it is. Oh, here we go.
Yeah, this was actually taken. I took another trip out to Nebraska, I got another residency in central Nebraska, and one of the things that I was finding is that the small towns were dying, and people were buying things on Amazon and at Walmart's and all the other stores. Sort of, they couldn't make.
Yeah.
They
So
couldn't make out.
some of the businesses that had people had grown up with were changing. I mean, and that photograph is certainly a photograph of a changing world in Nebraska.
It certainly is.
Yeah. All right, keep them running, folks. Let's see another one. These photos by Ira Merritt.
Yeah, this was one of the panoramas. That's what I was talking about, and this was in the later trip. What I decided I need to go back when there was growth and when they were starting to harvest the soy or the corn, and this shows you them harvesting.
Yeah, it does show you that also, from a visual point of view, the lighting, where you got the shadow on one side and not on the other. It's just, let's put that photo up. I want to keep looking at that. I love these photos.
Yeah,
Look at that.
that's what I was seeing. I was seeing the land and the sky.
Right.
And so that led me to doing these panoramas.
In very geometric terms. Yeah.
Yes.
All right, let's see the next one. Oh.
Okay, this guy. All right, this is the owner of an original sod house. It was made out of sod in 1900. His family lived there until 1959, and then it started to go downhill. And so in about the 80s, he started to fix it up, and it's now people come in there and it's a visitor site.
And he let you in to take that picture.
Yeah, he let me in.
Wow.
And
now, was that the last photo, folks? I think it was.
There's a few more if you have time.
All right, Iris. So, just having done all that, what's your impression? What do you take away from from that experience of going as a Bronx boy, going down to Nebraska and shooting that?
Right. I thought it was a great experience for someone like me because it gave me a chance to experience a little bit of what the life was like out there. And how different it is.
Yeah. Oh, you think those photos were different than hanging out on the Grand Concourse? I hadn't noticed. Anyway, Ira Merritt, when we can see your stuff online and we can see you, you have a show coming up, anything happening?
Well, I've been working. I haven't really found a site for it yet, but I think I will.
All right.
And when I do, I'll let you know.
I'll let you know. You can come back and show more. Ira Merritt, always great to see your work, and congratulations on the trip to Nebraska. And thanks for broadening our horizons here on the Bronx Buzz. We appreciate it.
Thanks a lot.
All right, there you go. All right, there you go, folks. That is our program for this evening. Two great photographers. Each, you got an interesting view of the Bronx, an interesting view outside of the rest of the world. That is the best of the Bronx on Bronxnet television. Make sure you're with us on Bronx Talk, which will be 9 o'clock on Monday night. And we're going to have a show about the Morris Park Road Diet, which should be a fascinating discussion about an important issue. Good night.